Helly Hansen got involved with the Foreign Trade Zone because we had a problem. The problem was the expense of freight forwarding or moving our freight into North America.
If we had a facility in Canada and a facility in the U.S., Murphy's Law, Murphy's Law says that your smalls and larges are going to be in Canada, and your mediums and extra larges are going to be in the U.S.
An FTZ is a foreign trade zone, and it was a program that was established in the 1930s to encourage both international trade and U.S. employment. It is a secured site within the United States physically, but outside of U.S. Customs territory for their purposes. So what it does is it allows companies to bring products into the zone and not pay customs duties until the product actually leaves the zone.
So in our warehouse, we'll have the red line on the floor, which designates to customs which areas can hold FTZ product and which areas can't. And we just need to communicate with our employees then that no products cross the red line. Anything inside the red line stays in the red line. It
allows a company to have a single distribution center if they choose to distribute to multiple countries because there are no duties subject to product that's exported from the U.S. out of the zone. They can consolidate that, and that's resulted in significant cost savings for companies that have chosen to do that.
Tommy Bahama is based in the U.S., and there was a licensee in Canada. And so we made the decision to buy back that licensee in Canada and take control of the distribution. So for us, the advantage of the FTZ program was it would allow us to have one facility here in the U.S. and do all of our distribution for both the U.S. and Canada out of one facility. That way we didn't have to run two facilities, didn't have to have the costs of two facilities. It also gave us the advantage that we could have one facility with all of the inventory. And from a planning, merchandising standpoint, that allowed us to keep all of our inventory in one location rather than segregating it into two.
We did add staff here. We actually added skill sets here that we didn't have here previously as well. Before, when we were just using basically a typical importer broker forwarder relationship, we now pseudo act like as our own broker. So we brought that skill set in. Also, the volumes that were coming into Washington State versus going into British Columbia, that certainly added a lot more, as you probably noticed from the parking out in around this building. We have added quite a few jobs as a result of that.
So you have the ability to both defer and reduce the amount of duty payments. It also reduces some of the fees and taxes associated with importing products.
For the foreign trade zone, some of the key financial benefits for us have been the merchandise processing fee savings. There's also the advantages of duty deferral. Besides just the cost benefits, one of the key factors for us in determining and wanting to go with the foreign trade zone program was being able to have one facility to serve both countries and be in control of our distribution.
It's for companies involved in import-export activity, so you do want to do some due diligence, do a little bit of analysis to find out if the cost savings that are available make it worth the effort. But I think more companies that go through it find out that there are some substantial savings involved.
Obviously you have to have the data. It's a big data world we live in now. So now you have to look at volumes, you have to look at throughput, inventory carrying costs, you have to look at what it costs for land, for space, your rents and leases. Also, labor force, what your spend is going to be there. You have to analyze both, and that's what Helly Hansen did. And it was very clear to us that this is the move we needed to do.
The costs for creating the foreign trade zone are not significant. It's really the upfront costs are really where the financial burdens of establishing the foreign trade zone are. But the recurring costs from year to year are really the FTZ software, having an FTZ administrator managing the transactions. And those are really probably the two significant costs.
There's a lot of tools out there to help learn about the program, but within 6 months, you can have a zone activated and up and running for those who elect to go that route.
You know, one of the things that I found is going through the foreign trade zone, you know, Customs actually supplies a fair amount of information on foreign trade zones that you can kind of go through the information, you know, pick up some of the key points. But I have found that, you know, other FTZs, people that have gone through the process are very willing to share information, share their experiences, kind of lead you through the process. I've had a couple FTZs that I've worked with, kind of learning the processes, and then, you know, just working through a consultant. The consultant will take you through the process of developing your procedures manual, which Customs will ultimately review. And, you know, as you kind of go through developing that procedures manual with your consultant, you'll learn a lot about the process as well.
Part of our mission at the Port of Seattle is to encourage economic development. And the foreign trade zone is one tool to incentivize companies to establish their operations here near the Port of Seattle in King County. Foreign trade zone provides some significant cost savings, so companies are incentivized to locate here as opposed to other places in the U.S. or other countries.
I guess what I like about the program is when it comes to distribution center management, warehouse management, it's very clean, it's very procedural and organized. It forces you to be that way, which I think is a very good thing.